So this time, we're going to graph these lines using T-charts. And some of these, the first two, are going to be really familiar from when we did reflections, lines of reflections. Okay, so a T-chart is just that. We're going to write a T. Okay, and on one side of our T is our X coordinate, on the other side is our Y. So if you remember from when we did lines of reflections and our geometry section, this tells me, this equation says that X is equal to what? -2, right? So every time I graph my X, it's always going to be -2. So I'm just going to write it 3 times because I want 3 nice points that I can graph. Now my Y can be anything I want it to be. I like to use 3 numbers. Do you guys remember my favorite 3 numbers to use?
3, 2, 3.
1, 0, 1.
1, 0, and -1. Okay. So that makes it really easy for me to graph this line. Where did, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to plot them, right? From my point of origin, my first one is X is -2, Y is 1. So from my point of origin, I'm going to go left 2 and up 1. There's my first point. My second point tells me X is -2 and Y is 0. X is -2, Y is 0. Okay. My third point, X is -2, Y is -1. So back to -2, down 1. And if you notice, my line that I'm graphing when I connect my points is a nice, clean, vertical line, end to end, and labeled X is equal to -2. For that one, yes. That one, that's the easy one. Number 2, exactly like that. Super easy. But it's not always going to be that easy. I apologize. So let's look at number 3. I'm still going to do a T-chart. I'll make my T-chart up here. But this time, I'm going to look at what is in front of Y. So what's in front of Y?
Y. Oh, 3.
It's a +3, right? I should have circled all of it. +3. So I'm going to use this as the numbers that I use for my X value. Alright, so as I said, I'm going to look at what is in front of Y. That's going to be my X. And just like I did up here, how I picked my 1, my 0, and my -1, I'm going to do the similar thing over here, except I'm going to look at what's Y, and my X's are going to be 3, 0, and -3. Okay? So now I have a number that I'm going to substitute. So I'm going to write 3 equations. I'm going to write this equation 3 times and solve it 3 times. One of them is going to be a little bit easier when my X is 0. But the other 2 are not going to, it's going to require some work. And it's going to require that solving that multi-step equation thing that we've been doing. Okay, we spent a month on 1 step, a month on 2 step, and then we spent some time on multi-steps. We're just going to, that is like foundational for the rest of our math. We need to learn how to solve an equation. Okay? So I'm going to take this equation, and instead of X for my first equation, what am I going to write? What am I writing? 3. So my equation says 2 times X. So instead of X, I'm going to put 3 in parentheses. That parentheses makes sure that I know that I'm doing a substitution. I'm substituting that X, and it's still multiplication. Right? And then I'm going to write the rest of my equation. I'm going to write plus 3y equals 0. Okay, so my goal is to find out what y is equal to. All right? So what is 2 times 3? So I'm going to bring down my 6. plus 3y is equal to 0. Let's draw my line here so I know what I'm doing here. Now I'm going to go ahead and move this 6. How do I move my 6 again? Not yet. It's not multiplication. It's 6 all by itself. So the opposite of addition, right, I'm going to subtract it. Minus 6 from both sides. Okay. So I'm going to bring down what I have left is my positive 3y. And what do I have? What's 0 minus 6? Minus 6, right? Negative 6. So to get what my y is equal, I still need to divide. Now is when I divide Kevin, because it's multiplying by that number in front of y, my coefficient of y. This becomes a 1y. So y is now equal to a negative divided by a positive is going to give me what kind of answer? Negative. What is 6 divided by 3? 2. So over here in my t-chart, when x is 3, y is going to be negative 2. Okay? Let's do the next one, when x is 0. So now I'm going to write down my new equation, 2, and instead of x, it's going to be 0, plus 3y equals 0. Okay? All I did was take my equation, and instead of x, I wrote a 0 for that place. I'm substituting. Putting it in parentheses so we know what exactly it is that we are substituting. So 2 times 0 is what? Right? So I can cross it out. So all I have left to solve is this 3y equals 0. But I want to know what y is equal, not what 3y is equal to. So I need to undo this. How do I undo this again? What do I do now? I'm divide. This is multiplication, so what do I need to do? I need to divide, right? By what number?
3.
By 3. Both sides. This becomes a 1y. Juan is shy. Let's leave him alone. He wants to hide. Well, what is 0 divided by 3? It's 0, right? So y is equal to 0. So when x is 0, y is also 0. And I could probably graph it now, but I really want to get a good idea of where this line's going to go. So I'm going to do my last equation. My last equation is 2 times x, but this time x is going to be what?
3.
Negative 3. Plus 3y is equal to 0. And then I need to solve it. What is 2 times 3? Or negative 3? Negative 6. Bring down the rest of my equation. Okay. How do I move this negative 6? Add 6. Good. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. This becomes 0. Bring down my 3y is equal to, what is 0 plus 6? 6. How do I undo this multiplication now? I'm going to divide both sides by what number? 3. What does y equal then? Positive 2. All right? So when x is negative 3, y is positive 2. And now I can graph these ordered pairs. Okay? So from my point of origin, x is 3, y is negative 2. X is positive 3, y is negative 2. There's my first point. My second ordered pair is easy, right? 0, 0, I don't move, right at my point of origin. My third one, from my point of origin, x is negative 3, and y is positive 2. And there's my point right there. I take my straight edge, go all the way through my graph end to end, put my arrows on both ends, and then label it with my original equation, 2x plus 3y is equal to 0. And this is the graph of the line, 2x plus 3y equals 0. All right, so that was a little bit more work, right? Yeah, I know. So I'm probably going to be a little bit nice to you and take some of these problems off of your next required homework.
Can you take off my...
Excuse me? Pardon me? So I'm going to look at them and let you know which one that you can take off after we're done. Let's go ahead and flip over and look at some of the ones on the back side. Yeah. All right, let's do number 8. No, actually, cross off the number 8. And let's do number 11. Okay, so we're going to do number 11. Let's make our T-chart. What is the number in front of y? 1, right? So my number for x is going to be 1, 0, and negative 1 because there's a 1 there. Juan's shy, so I had to call him out so we can see him. All right? So I'm going to write 3 equations. My first one, x is going to be 1. So let's write it. 2 times 1 plus 1y equals negative 2. What's my second equation going to be? Write it down here. 2 times what? Plus equals, beautiful. That's my second equation. What's my third equation? 2 times negative 1 plus 1y equals negative 2. So now I have 3 equations. Let's go ahead and take some time to solve for y and see if we can get it done correctly. All right, so if I'm following my own instructions up there, I'm going to use follow PEMDAS, right? So first I'm going to make sure that I do my parentheses, okay? What is 2 times 1? 2. So I'm going to bring down my new equation. I have my y out, minus 2, right? So my equation says to add the opposite, right? So what is the opposite of positive 2? So I'm going to subtract 2, and I'm going to subtract it from both sides, okay? So that's going to give me y all by itself over here. I don't need the 1. I could, but I don't need it. What is a negative 2 plus a negative 2? It's going to be a bigger negative, right? I'm going to add my 2 2's together. So when x is 1, y is going to be equal to negative 4. Okay? So let's go to the next one here. This one's going to be super easy. Why? Because that becomes a 0, right? And 1y is just simply y. So what is y equal to? Negative 2. So when x is 0, what is y? Negative 2. So when x is 0, y is negative 2. Wow, that didn't take too much work, did it? Let's look at the third one. So this time x is negative 1. I'm doing my third one. What is 2 times a negative 1? So I'm going to bring down negative 2 plus 1y is equal to negative 2. Okay, going back to my problem. What do I need to do now? Add the opposite? Right? So what's the opposite? Plus 2, right? Right? That becomes 0. What does this become? It's also 0, right? So 1y is the same as y is equal to 0. So when x is negative 2, y is what? 0. So I can put that here. And now I can graph it. Super easy, right? When x is 1, y is negative 4. When x is 0, y is negative 2. When x is negative 1, y is 0. And that gives me 3 dots in a very clean straight line that I can graph. Drawing my line end to end, putting arrows on both ends. And don't forget to label it your original equation. 2x plus y is equal to negative 2. That wasn't that hard, was it? No, it wasn't. So go ahead and cross off number 2. And cross off number 10. So you should have crossed off 9, 10 on the back. And what did I say? No, yeah, cross off number 2. That one's super easy. 9 and 10 on the back, cross off 2 on the front. Oh, it is 8. Sorry. It looked like a 9 after I crossed it off. 8 and 10.
So we don't cross off.
Don't cross off 9. That was super easy. 9 and 10. Cross off 9 and 10 on the back. Sorry, 8 and 10. I said it again, huh? It looks like a 9. Cross off 8 and 10 on the back. Cross off number 2 on the front. Actually, I lied. Cross off 2 and 4 on the front. 2 and 4. So that gives you 2 more to do on the front and 5 on the back. Actually, I lied. 3 on the back. So 5 more problems to do. That's your homework.